Prices have turned the corner. Apparently. This is according to the Greater Vancouver Realtors Home Price Index pricing model. But don't get too excited. The reality is far more complicated than that. Also, I'll talk about a government housing policy that might actually be working. I know, it's kind of hard to believe. All of that and more in this month's edition of our Greater Vancouver Market Update. Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into the April edition of our monthly update. Let's get right into it by reviewing last month's stats, starting with the sales figures. There were a total of 2,032 sales which took place across the region last month. This is a healthy 23.3% increase from February. As I mentioned last month, this is a normal seasonal trend as we enter the spring market. When you look at how this compares to the 10-year average for the month of March, however, last month's sales figures were nearly 32% below where we are used to seeing them at this time of year. So despite activity creeping up, we are well below what you would consider even average market conditions, let alone a good or strong market. New listings also crept up, although a bit more modestly than sales, coming in at 14,774 total listings. This works out to just over a 9% increase from the previous month. So with inventory being eaten up at a faster rate than it's being replaced, this results in the market tightening slightly and our months of inventory dropping from 8.2 to a slightly more reasonable 7.3 MOI. What does this mean? Well, it means that only 1 out of every 7.3 homes that was on the market in March actually sold. It also means that we continue to be in a buyer's market, as a balanced market is generally considered to be anywhere between 4 to 6 months of inventory. Now, what is the typical result of a soft or buyer's market? Well, the main result is downward pressure on prices. But according to the Home Price Index, prices were up by 0.4% last month. The overall HPI benchmark price for the region was $1,104,300. And as you can see here, it was the first increase since March 2025 and the first in 11 months of price declines. But don't get too excited quite yet. Based on the offers that we're seeing coming in on our listings, real prices are continuing to fall, particularly in the more blasé parts of the region, let's say. Unless you're sitting on a special product in a highly desirable neighborhood, we're basically at the point where if you overprice, you're going to get no showings, no chance of an offer. If you price sharply, or even slightly below recent comps, you'll get an offer, but you will still have to negotiate further down. And if you try to heavily underprice in order to get a bidding war, forget it. You'll neither get no offers because nobody wants to play that game right now, or offers at or below asking. Buyers are simply not desperate right now. They're not getting emotionally attached very easily, and they're simply taking the attitude of, well, something else will come up if this doesn't work out. The other thing that I touched on in my intro is that we may be living through truly special times right now. We may actually be experiencing a government housing policy that is working as intended. The policy that I'm referring to is the new federal government's Bill C-4, or the First-Time Home Buyers GST rebate. The Liberals ran on this as a campaign promise in the last federal election, but it only received royal assent and officially became law last month. This new program grants first-time homebuyers a full exemption on the GST for brand new homes up to $1 million, with a sliding scale of the exemption for homes priced between $1 and $1.5 million. Paying GST on new construction has long been a thorn in the side of homebuyers. Think about it. Cutting the federal government a check for $50,000 on a $1 million purchase is a tough pill to swallow, and it was deterring many buyers from even considering to buy a new home. But with developers struggling to meet sales quotas in order to move projects forward, Big Brother has come to save the day. And I must admit, it's actually working, especially since the first-time homebuyers exemption for property transfer tax in the province on brand new construction has a threshold of $1.1 million, as opposed to the partial exemption on resale with a threshold of $835,000. Everybody loves the new car smell, but nobody wants to cut a check for $50,000 to get it. Now, you can buy a brand new $1 million home and not only save the $50,000 on the GST, but also $18,000 on the property transfer tax. Although we do work in the pre-sale space, the vast majority of our business comes from the resale market. However, since Bill C-4 was passed into law, we have done 2 deals on new construction. Take that with a grain of salt, of course. We are but one team in a region with over 15,000 agents. But from our perspective, we have seen it move the needle. So let's give credit where credit is due and enjoy the savings. All right, that's it for me for this month. If you have any questions regarding the exemptions I mentioned, don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, I'll catch you right back here in about a month's time. Take care, everyone.